Please welcome Hikari.
You guys make me cry. Thank you so much for being here. I have so many people to thank, but first of all, Mill Valley Film Festival. I mean, you guys done such a great job. This is my second time. I was here 2019.
Yeah.
With my first feature film, 37 Seconds. And to be back here with my second one and be at the closing night, it's such an honor to be back. So thank you. Thank you. And all the volunteers and everybody, it's really take a village to make a movie, but also to really have a place like this so that we can screen our movie is so incredible. So thank you so much. Thank you.
Well, welcome back.
And thank you for being here. Oh my goodness. You can be all other places and you choose to be here. So I really appreciate you for being here. Thank you.
Honestly, seeing the film, I was saying earlier that this was one of the, when we saw your film, the programmers were all in accord and said, yeah, this would be a lovely closing night film. So I'm so glad that you were able to do that. But of course, none of us knew what a rental family was.
You're right. I didn't know what rental family was.
You didn't know what a rental family was. I know. I've been asking myself if I wanted to rent a family member, who would it be?
Right.
So you didn't know about, but it's a thing in Japan,
yes.
Right?
So I'll give you a little bit of backstory. It's kind of crazy, but this kind of business, rental family itself, started in the 80s, and there's about 300 companies that kind of provides similar services, right, in Japan. And then, I always knew there's renting a girlfriend, renting a lap so you can put your head down on somebody and somebody's going to stroke your head for 30 minutes, or renting a older gentleman who's going to give you life advice. If you didn't have a father to give you life advice, I knew those businesses existed. But not particularly for the rental family. Mm-hmm. Me and my writing partner, Steven, he was just kind of searching what is the odd job to do if you're American, just out of curiosity. And this rental family things popped up. And we're like, what is this? I'm Japanese. I don't know anything about this. So that's when we start looking at it, and yeah.
So your writing partner found this phenomenon.
Yes.
And then how did you start developing the script? So you have a writing partner. That's interesting as well.
Yeah.
Talk about how you work together.
Sure. So we always come up with some ideas, and, we constantly talking about stories. He also loves, movies, and, he's an artist, he's a photographer. I'm also a photographer too. So there's a lot in common that we always talk about. What can we make a story that is interesting and it's very unique and original, right? That's something we always look for. And this one, he had idea, and then we find out about it. We literally dive in, start researching what this is about. And we find out a lot about, even me, Japanese, about my culture. In Japan, we don't really have a form of therapy system. It's really, if you're depressed, or if you are, some kind of issue talking to people or about your problem, whatever, the government or Japanese culture does not really make it easy for you to have that conversation. So naturally, this company has no license, but just there to talk to you or listen, whatever your need is, it becomes a business, because again, it's really difficult. And the Japanese people also kind of look down on the people with emotional challenges, or, depression, stuff like that. It's a little bit, I don't like to use the word, it's unfortunate. Yeah, I think there's something beautiful about the story that there are companies that actually exist. And yeah, so that was kind of the beginning of it. I can talk forever about this, but sorry.
No, well, we will. We're part of it. So when you're working with your writing partner, you have this great idea, you know, it's completely original. I have not ever seen anything about a rental family before. Do you begin with characters, or how do you start?
I started with interviewing people. I wanted the story to be as accurate as possible, and then not, you know, me just making up the stories. And there's a lot of amazing stories that I could not obviously put it into a movie. And some of them are very sad. Some people lost the entire family during the I don't know if you guys remember that tsunami happened. The entire family was wiped. Only the father, one person survived because he was in Tokyo. And so on their birthdays, he rents out a little girl, this, you know, brother, that everybody who died, disappeared, he rents out. And not on his birthday, their birthdays, right? Story like that happened. And so I interviewed both people who owns a business, and then also people rents out these people. And it took me a little bit. I interviewed a lot of different kinds of people, and I know what is the story, what kind of story do we want to tell? And I also wanted to focus on token white guy, sorry, Brendan Fraser's character, because when I first came to America, I was a token Asian girl in Utah. I went to high school in Utah, and there was no Asians. And but there's something beautiful happened in that experience. And even though you're the only person, right, in the room, the people I met, the friends I created, the community I had in theater, they became my family, and I'm still close to all of them. A lot of them, and we still talk to each other on the phone. And so I kind of wanted to flip the idea. And then what is it like for an American person to live in Tokyo? And then what that world looked like. So that was kind of beginning of the story.
That's fascinating. Yeah, because we get a real sense of him being, you know, I mean, he's had a certain traction because he had a career, and then that flipped, and then all of a sudden he's still there, and it's kind of unusual. So you were here with 37 Seconds before, which I think you made independently, right?
Yes. I called my ex-boyfriend, who were very rich. That's how we started that one. Remember back then?
So this one, you're now working with a studio. How did that happen? And, you know, did you pitch an idea? Did you pitch a script?
Well, it all kind of happened with my best friend manager over there. Josh, he's my everything. It was, we had a great story and ideas, and then luckily he put the incredible producers together and who I want to develop the story with. And then that's how I kind of came up with, he introduced me to one of the company was Silent Scene, Eddie Weissman and Julie Lebedev. And they really loved the story and they wanted to help me develop the script. And so we worked on the script for about a year. So less than a year. I had to jump back and forth because I already had a directing assignment for Tokyo Vice and then also later with Beef. So I, so kind of try to write in between.
Yeah. When you make a film, do you storyboard? How do you work on it from the get-go?
Wow. There's a lot of process I go in my head.
Yeah.
I do intensively, when you're looking for locations, I take a lot of photographs. Both me and Stephen, as we said, we were photographers and take a lot of great photos. And then sometimes I do storyboards. For this one, it didn't, all the storyboards that I did was mostly technical, difficult ones. And Japan is so small. So there's not really freedom where you can put the cameras. And we shot most of them on locations because of the budgetary reasons. And it takes a lot of time to move things around. And some of the location, we can't put dollies, right? Like, I had a couple ideas that I wanted to do, these giant sweeping shots and this and that, and 70% was just, no, you can't do that. And even on the day of, they would cancel it. They're like, my neighbor doesn't want you to put the dolly in here, so you can't put the dolly in here. So, so a lot of, storyboards. Yeah. But then back to, all right, we're just gonna do the stick. We're just gonna have to do this traditional way. But it was a good practice, you know. It's always good to see what is like.
Did you feel that you had more freedom or less freedom in working with the studio?
Well, financially, yes.
Yeah.
Because you know, the first 37 seconds was less than $1 million budget movie.
Yeah.
So, and we had a girl with a cerebral palsy, and
Yes.
you know, we have to really be creative on that one. But this time, there was both freedom because of financial, yes, but then also, if you're not doing it independently, there's obviously the rules that comes with SAG members. There's the rules, and Japan production works very different than American production. So the rules in between those two just never really meet eye to eye. So finding the balance between like, okay, we're gonna shoot everything under the 12 hours, of course, but what is the under 12 hours? Because sometimes it takes 2 hours to get to the location, right? So like, how do you manage that? And sometimes in that studio comes in, it's great, but sometimes it's challenging for them to understand how the system works in Japan, right? So, but I think Searchlight is an incredible studio. It's just like, they're such a friendly, you know, filmmaker friendly, and I'm just so grateful that they decided to work on this. So
yeah, Brendan Fraser was here with The Whale.
Yes. By the way, he really wanted to be here. He sends his love. He wanted to come and he couldn't. So yeah, he really loved Mill Valley, and
Mill Valley loves him as well.
Yes, I'll tell him.
But I see, you know, The Whale is also a film about, you know, a guy who's kind of an outsider. Did you cast him before or after seeing the film The Whale?
It's actually literally the day I saw Whale, I kept thinking like, oh, where's my Philip? Where's my Philip? And I saw him. I was like, well, maybe he is. And then at the end of the screening, it was at the BAMPFA screening, he couldn't make it to the Q&A because he got sick. And so he was actually on this giant screen. He was suddenly 30 foot tall. And when I saw that and who he was, how he was to talking to just everybody in the audience and how generous and kind, and that's when I knew he was my guy. And then literally I called just Josh, I think.
This is so shout out to
shout out to Josh Glick. Honestly, like, I wouldn't be here without him. So I owe him so much. Yeah.
That's great. One of the things I find fascinating about the film is that you come to it with a sort of, there's a humor, but there's a compassion. I mean, in a way, with a story about a rental family, you could almost have played it very broad comedy, you know, but you didn't. You have it in this sort of very kind of, you know, specific, subtle way. Could you talk a little bit about how, you know, your choices in the way that you wanted the style of the film to be, and what you wanted us to experience as audiences?
So the business itself is such a bizarre idea, and then I think it's a lot difficult for a lot of people to understand. But this, like, we went through so many different drafts. At one point, it was very dramatic, right? We kind of started like, what kind of story I want to tell. And if we perhaps tell the story about what I just told you about the family losing, that becomes very dramatic, and it's very, per se, it's very sad. But I think for me as a director, I always find a way to, how can I give a hope? What is my way to share through the story that I want to tell, or visual images? How can I give a positive message? And then also because it's really bizarre ideas, I felt like the laughter could help along the way. Before we hit the hammer, it was like, this is the moment to cry. You're gonna cry. I'm so sorry for losing your tears. But I think it's for me, it's finding the balance is very important story, especially a story like this, because it's so easy for me to do dramatic. It's so easy to make a drama out of this story. But for me, I want you guys to enjoy and really feel the journey with the audience. Because what if you're sitting in the audience in the first funeral? You're gonna laugh, right? You're like, what the fuck? You know, like, whoa. Like, I will literally do what he did, you know? And, but I really wanted you guys to experience that. So just see the balance, how's it, you know? And I think life is like so many difficult challenges facing us, and that's our life. And for me, I grew up in watching American movies in the 80s and 90s in Japan. Like, I was a little girl in Japan and in the working class and at my grandma's tea shop. And in the back, my grandma's watching Akira Kurosawa killing, you know, samurai killing bunch of whatever. And I'm watching American movies, and that was my escape, right? Like, what's that world look like? And I loved it so much. So I kind of wanted to give you that. Now, what's that Japan look like? So here it is. But yeah, I think it's having both balances. It was challenging for sure. Yeah. It's never as easy to find that balance. It's because broad comedies is also kind of fun and easy, but in between is always challenging. And I kind of wanted to not challenge myself, definitely not. That wasn't the point. But the story that I wanted to tell just kind of went this direction. Yeah. So yeah.
I think it's interesting too, because quite often if you have, humor is very different in different cultures. Mm-hmm. I mean, I remember at the Berlin Film Festival one year going and seeing, all my German friends were really excited that there was this German comedy that was going to play. And I watched it, it's like, I don't get it. You know, and here you are making a film that, you know, has two very distinct, different cultures really represented. I mean, one by, you know, the lead character, but, you know, the other culture really by, you know, the place that you're working in. So it does make sense to me that, you know, you have this sort of subtle approach to the style of it.
Yeah. And I think for being Japanese, like, American comedy is very, like, laugh out loud. It feels like a very broad comedy. That's as I remember watching those, and for even Japanese, following the subtitles and stuff, and it's laugh, but it's a different laugh, right? I think Japanese can go that far too. If you know any Japanese, you've seen any Japanese television, they go way far too. But pulling back is sometimes, I don't know, I find it interesting to just kind of playing the fine line between. And then essentially it's really story. This movie particularly, when we were writing, we simplified it in the end, but there's some scenes that we took out for many different reasons. And we had a story about Aiko. She also has the backstory that we didn't include in the movie. Same thing with Takehiro, the Tada, the lead guy. He had another family. He had a family that he was separated. We shot all of it. And, but I found simplifying it was a little bit more easier to digest, but then also easier. The performance is there. And I think both Aiko especially, we talked about a little bit of sexual abuse in Japan and stuff like that, entertainment business, and that kind of became too heavy-handed. And when we're finding that balance in between, I just found this particular simplifying it was probably resonate to you guys even more. I hope it did. So yeah, there's a lot of things that I played around with the editor. And
So I understand that you were mostly brought up by your mother. Was the absence of your father any kind of, as a child, was that any kind of inspiration for the story?
The little girl's story?
Yeah.
It's actually my story.
Okay.
So I was raised by a single mom with my sister. And my mom used to lie to me all the time. She told me that my father was dead. And I was 7, I was jump roving outside, and I find out by my neighbor lady that he left for another woman. That's what she told me. And she kept lying about where my father was. But in the end, she was like, does it even matter? You know, are you happy with your dad, your family? And I says, yes. And it's like, you know, he wasn't the nicest guy. He just wasn't, that you probably don't need him. Are you happy? As long as you're happy with me, us, then, let's just go with that. I was like, okay. And she lied continuously after that, but it became a joke. But yeah, so that story, what I wanted to tell, obviously this is a very dramatic version. But what I wanted to tell in this one was that it doesn't, the parent, if you're a single parent, because of love, they'll do anything for you. Even though that, lying seems very difficult things to deal with, but she really wanted her to get into this school because such a huge thing in Japan. Like getting to the good school kind of takes you to the next level. And it's, so the mother was really caring for the girl, and yeah.
We've got about 5 minutes. I'm wondering if we might take a couple of questions from the audience.
Yes.
Would that be okay? I see one ready to go there. Oh, wait. No. You don't have to do that. We'll do that.
Sorry, I'm like,
Could we get we have one in the back here. Could we get a mic to that person, please?
I think he's right there.
We'll come back to him.
There you go.
Okay.
He's right there. Okay.
Everybody has questions.
We'll get to you.
Just curious as to Brendan Fraser's familiarity with Japanese language or culture before he made this film.
Yeah, he was in Japan to screen the Whale, and so he went there and he loved it so much. He went back later, like a couple months later again, and then. So yeah, he was already familiar with the culture. He loved it so much, and he took lessons for like 4 months, Japanese lesson, and he has he always says like, oh, I have a good ears, but he really like took lessons like 3 times a week, and just be able to be natural with the language, and yeah.
Great.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, gentlemen. Yeah.
Yes. Hi. I was just wondering if the movie One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest with Jack Nicholson sort of like releasing the people from the asylum with this jailbreak, I saw a similarity of just releasing people trapped in a situation.
Yeah.
That had an influence on, the movie had an influence on you. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Yes, yeah. I didn't really think that's my favorite movies, by the way. It's such a wonderful classic. I actually didn't think about it, but it was just kind of like, he was like, wants to get out of the house, and, his daughter is not letting him in because he's kind of losing. And, I just wanted to give that freedom, like, let's say, if anything that we can't have in life, I wanted to make that in the movie. He can't get out, and most people in Japan won't be able to get out, right? So I wanted to just kind of give that. Yeah, of course. Thank you for the question.
Over there. You got it.
Hello. I thought it was just such a beautiful part of your film, the wedding sequence. And when we discover that this is a queer couple, it made me wonder if it's difficult in Japan for gay people to express themselves.
Yeah, very much so. Interesting enough, if you are queer, if you're a gay couple, the marriage is obviously it's not existing, and it's especially if you're girls. Lesbian couples are much harder for some reason, and I think the reason probably, well, I kind of know the reason, because male being gay or, a drag queen, it's been around in their history, right? Kabuki theater, male is dressed up like a woman. That's all normal to us. But then when the girls are together, even in the police, like it's just very, I hate to talk about this, and I'm really trying to, with some of the people in Japan, the LGBTQ community, I'm always trying to be advocate, talk about, the sexuality, and it's okay to come out, stuff like that. But it's still very much like America 40 years ago is in Japan. So I have a lot of friends who got married, but then also they have to lie to their parents. So that story there is, I wanted to give that. You can do it, right? You can get married. You just have to deal with certain circumstances. But I wanted to give them, I don't know, inspiration. If they want to be with somebody, just do it. There's going to be a community to support, right? Yeah. Thank you. That's my favorite scene too.
I almost thought that was going to be the primary relationship, that was going to be what you were going to explore when I first saw it. But
Yeah.
I mean, each one of those situations is kind of intriguing. Let's take one last question.
Yeah, sure.
Over here.
Beautiful film, so
Thank
tender,
you.
so just yummy in every way.
Thank you so
The
much.
child was wonderful. Everything was just incredible. I think it should be a TV show. What do you think?
Searchlight, folks? Yes. I know. I've been thinking about that too. It's like,
I would like to
thank
live
you.
in that a little longer.
Yeah, I know. We can set in America. How about that?
And also, okay, so there is a question. How is it played in Japan?
Not yet.
And what do you anticipate? How will it be received?
I will find out in the beginning of next year, but I think people will find it, I can't really say, but so far the people who have seen it had exactly the same reaction, and they felt hopeful in a way, because again, LGBTQ stories, what they're, the Japan has a big issue of elderly living alone and just being very isolated. It's very, especially in a city like Tokyo, younger people are very separated, right? There's a constant loneliness. And then when you go in the countryside, elder people are isolated. So, for me, if you have a problem, if you need to be with somebody, like if you don't have family, there's a service, like why not use it? I'm not going to tell you who to call, but if you look for it, there's one. And so hopefully, Japanese people take that as, oh yeah, maybe there are possibility that I don't have to be alone, and it's okay. Yeah.
Well, Hikari, thank you so much.
Oh, thank you,
So great to have you
Zoe.
here again.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you. Arigato. Thank you.